Ms. Weinstein yields.
To sort of piggyback on a couple of Ms. Walsh's questions about pins, I was wondering if you, when that piece of this bill was written, did you have a certain geographical area in mind in New York State?
It can be done across the state, as I mentioned to Assemblywoman Walsh.
Yeah, thank you. As I appreciate that. And as I read it, it's 2 or more eligible municipalities within a close geographic proximity to each other. I was wondering, the 2 counties that I represent, St. Lawrence and Jefferson County, which are pretty large, do you have an idea of the population of either one of those counties?
No. You're going to tell me.
Right. So, without knowing the population, maybe just to clarify, the counties can combine if they don't have the resources. They're allowed to combine to develop the program, but each county can develop the program independently if they wish to.
I appreciate that, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you for the time. 114,000 in Jefferson County and 112,000 in St. Lawrence County. And if you're at one end of St. Lawrence County and the other end of Jefferson County, these are 2 counties that are adjacent. You wouldn't consider yourselves in close proximity, but I think you would find that north of the Thruway, you'd probably have to combine 10 counties in order to reach the population requirements.
Yes. So they can each have their, they can develop their own program. I think the confusion relates to that New York City isn't designated as New York City. It's just under, when we talk about a city with a population of 1 million or more, we're really just talking about New York City. Perhaps
Okay.
that's some of the confusion.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll move on to another question if you'll continue to yield.
Sure.
So if counties don't opt in or they're not able to create their own program, will this take a tool away from the family court judges who may have used detention in the past as an option?
It won't take something away because it's not something that exists today. It's an additional tool for the family court to have.
So exactly what are the options for, let's say, a student in a high school that's referred to the system, or a child of a single parent who is unruly and is in that area where they're in need of pins? Will they have the opportunity to refer to detention?
Right now, there are a host of diversion services that can be pre-petition, post-petition, that exist throughout our state.
But detention is not one of those options?
Once a petition is filed, they can in fact be detained. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
Sure.
that. And if you'd continue to yield, I also have a question about the how much money is going to be necessary to bring New York State into full compliance with the Childcare Development Block Grant moving forward?
No, but what do we? Yeah. But what do we have in here? Right. So we provide 80 million here, but full compliance, we believe, would be close to 500 million.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you say that figure again?
We provide 80 million to meet the federally required health and safety mandates, and I can go through the list of what we're doing, background checks being the main one, but we estimate that it would take about 500 million to fully comply throughout the state.
Oh, thank you. Do we have any information from OCFS how much additional staff that they would require, and is there an appropriation that would match that requirement?
For which
in order to do
portion?
the actual inspections?
For all of, just for the inspections piece? Because most of the, well, I mean, we have $31 million that we have for inspections, but I don't know what portion of, you know, what that means in terms of staffing.
Okay, I see there's also a requirement in this is to come into compliance with the federal regulations that healthcare or child care providers will now be licensing every 2 years where they were licensing every 4. My question is about the corresponding fee for that license because
so
we're now...
I think it may be the opposite of what you're saying. It's 2 now, it's going to go to 4. So it's going to be expanded. The time frame is going to be expanded for the life.
That's not my understanding is that it's currently at every 4 years and it will be reduced to 2.
No?
Okay, I appreciate the clarification
Sure.
there.
It's going to 4 years.
So will the license fee for our child care providers be doubling, or will it maintain? Do
We don't change the license fee.
And a final question: what are we doing to help with the costs of those child care providers? In my district, this has come up time and time again. I view it as one of those bridges out of poverty for a lot of families in the North Country and across the state. What are we doing in this budget to assist child care providers and bring that cost down for families in New York?
Yeah. So we do. We do have $10 million for additional child care slots. You know, the $80 million that I mentioned is for background checks, for infant care quality efforts, inspection, training programs, staffing, system changes. We do have $8.7 million for child care subsidies for people at the 69th percentile.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, did you say 8.7 million for child care subsidies?
8.7 million for child care subsidies for families. You know, to deal with families who are cared for, who are at the 69th percentile of poverty.
Thank you, Chair, I appreciate it. Mr. Speaker, on the bill?
On the bill, sir.
So in poor and rural upstate areas, I view child care as one of those things that is a bridge out of poverty. It is literally one of those chances that constituents have, that small families have, to get themselves out of poverty. By supporting this, we can help get them there. But this budget does not go far enough. When we have a $15 minimum wage that's pressuring down on them, additional staff training time that they'll have to get in line with, only an $8.7 million restoration in child care subsidy, which isn't back to the 2016 level. A request for $2 million for infant and toddler care that's looks like it's going to be funded at a lesser level than that. The average family in New York State right now spends $16,000 a year on child care, and we definitely need to do more. This budget does not go far enough, and I thank you for your time.